Self-Improvement 101. Today I'm going to break down some of my best self-improvement tips, and it is a bit of a rehash from an earlier video. If you want to check that out, I'll put it up here. It's one of my earliest videos, so the production isn't as good as it is now. Not that it's any good now, but in any case, go ahead and check that out if you like. If not, let's continue with the video. With this, my first habit that I went over in that, and it's my number one that I recommend, and that is working out. Now you can call it whatever you want, working out, exercising, running, swimming, whatever it is you do. Just make sure you're being consistent and you're tracking what you do. And if that means 2 days a week going for a walk, do that. If that means 4 to 5 days a week weightlifting at the gym, do that. It could be those two things. It could be swimming, could be running, could be playing a sport, could be anything. But anything that you do, just be consistent with it. All of these work and all of them are beneficial. Whatever you do, just pick one and go from there. If you're having a tough time getting started, make the initial goal simpler and easier to complete. It could be as easy as do a 5-minute walk once a week and just start with that and slowly do more and more over the course of months and then years. And that's how this process is going to work. Whatever it is that you decide to do and however often you want to do it is totally up to you. The enjoyment of it is more important than any other aspect, in my opinion. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, look for something that you actually enjoy doing. Go from there. It's going to be different person to person. Let's take myself as an example. I enjoy weightlifting, and I enjoy doing it in a way that's kind of a combination of bodybuilding and powerlifting styles. What does that mean? It means sometimes I like to lift really heavy, but I don't do it too often. But I also like to really get a good pump while I'm working out. I feel big when I do that, and I enjoy how that feels. Add on to this the fact that I enjoy playing basketball as well. I do that a few times a week. All these things are things that I personally enjoy, and because of that, I've designed, sounds excessive, I've made a system that works for me. It's a program that I enjoy. Each of us have to do that with this process. You have to make it something that is doable for you and enjoyable for you. Why do I say that? I say it because I think it's really easy to get caught up in doing what someone else is doing. Now, whether that's someone you know in real life, or whether that's a fitness influencer you see online, or just some random person, you can very easily get caught up in doing what they do. If you watch someone who works out in a certain style, or you watch a professional athlete, and the way they prepare for their sport, it's easy to be like, well, I want to do that because they do it, and look at them, they're successful. Don't get too caught up in doing that. Make sure that whatever it is you do, that it's something you enjoy. It's something you actually have a goal towards. Don't do it because you saw someone else do it, which sounds stupid, but we all seem to do that. We all have different goals. We all have different activities that we enjoy doing. We have to keep this in mind. So to break it down a little bit, make sure what you're doing is enjoyable. Make sure it's trackable, if that's a word, and make sure it's actually doable from the start. And once you get the hang of it, then you can start making things a little bit harder. And do this within reason, but you want to reach a point where you can do things that you didn't previously think you could. And I know that sounds cliche, but it is true. I'm gonna use myself for an example. I used to be really, really skinny, small kid. I was not strong at all. I played sports and was active. I had like no ounce of fat on me, which some of you might be jealous about, but I wouldn't be. And that was me from the start. I always knew I wanted to be bigger, wanted to be stronger. Didn't really know how to get there for the most part. Took a long time to go from looking like this to looking like this. And I'm not saying that the way I look now is perfect, because it's not. There's a few things I'd like to improve on. I'd like to have a better fat to muscle ratio, but these are things that we have to keep in mind. If you know what you want to do from the start, or you know what you want to achieve from the start, make sure that you track what you're doing to get there. Why? Because A, it keeps you consistent, keeps you accountable, and B, it prevents you from just spinning your wheels doing things that don't work. So if you're doing something, and this might sound like a long time, but hear me out. If you're doing something for a month, but you're not keeping track of it, you might think there's a difference, you might not. It depends on more of how you feel and physically look. But if you're tracking something, say you're adding weight, you're adding reps, you're adding time under tension, whatever it is you're doing for your specific exercise, you will notice a difference, if you're consistent, from your tracking. You'll look at it and go, wow, okay, yeah, I added 5 reps from what I started with, a month, 2 months, 3 months ago, whatever it is. And you're like, oh, so there is improvement. You don't have to think about how you feel or how you look. You can see the data in front of you, which is incredibly useful. And if you don't notice a difference, guess what? What you were doing didn't work. So let's stop doing that and let's try something different. It's very important because you don't want to, I don't want to say you don't want to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. But the 2 pictures I had up, the first one is a 6-year gap between the other picture. 6 years. Now it's a big difference, I will say. It's a 35, 40 pound difference in weight. And I know a lot of it is fat, but I got much, much stronger and a lot more muscle on my frame in that time. Some of it could be just age, but a lot of it's the hard work I put in. Now, why am I saying this? I'm not saying this to flex. I'm not saying this because I'm like, look at my body transformation. No, I'm saying this because I want you to keep in mind that whatever it is your goal is, that it's possible over time. I was super vague with what I wanted. I wanted to be bigger. I wanted to be stronger. I wanted to look beefier in a shirt, and I do. Now, I want to be better than that. The goals adapt, the goals keep going. That takes time, it takes consistency. And if you don't enjoy it, you're probably not going to be consistent. And if you don't track it, it's harder to know what works and what doesn't. So all these things work in tandem with each other. Okay, to wrap this information isn't new. This information isn't groundbreaking. In fact, I'd actually argue it's mostly common sense. So why do I say it? Because I think we forget. I think we honestly forget what our goals are, what we want to achieve, what we're trying to do, because we get caught up in what other people are doing. We almost forget what our goals were in the first place. You have to keep that in mind over the long run, because your goals will change, mistakes will happen. You're going to adapt and hopefully do better because of it. But don't lose track of why you started, because in my opinion, if you lose track of that, you start focusing on all the wrong things. Keep in mind that this is my account. This is my anecdotal evidence. What I've done and what I'm currently doing may or may not work for you depending on what you're trying to do. So take it as you will. I'm going to be following this video up with 3 more of similar styles, going over the rest of the habits. If you did like the video, leave a like. If you disliked it, well, dislike the video, but let me know what I can do to improve in the future. Subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, I'll see you later. Take it easy.